We go. All right. Hi, everybody. This is Richard, and tonight we are playing Beyond the Wall with Gauntlet Hangouts. This is a Gauntlet Hangouts game, and we observe the Gauntlet inclusivity policy. We also use the X card, usually by just saying X card out loud, typing it into one of the chats, or there's an X card button in the die roller that you can use to kind of bring that out. Does anybody have questions about the X card really quick? I think everybody is familiar with it. And tonight I have an awesome group of players who have spent time creating their Beyond the Wall characters with the playbook system that Beyond the Wall uses. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves and introduce their characters just really quickly, and then we're going to go into the village building process, which is a great important part of Beyond the Wall, fleshing out their stories and fleshing out the stories of the village they live in. Beyond the Wall is a game of people, young heroes in their teens, in a fantasy village setting. It is inspired by Lloyd Alexander, Ursula Gwynn, and Susan Cooper, so I think everyone will enjoy it. I hope everyone will enjoy it. It's been one of my favorite games to run at cons and run it for short campaigns. And let's start by introducing Keith, who will be playing Darian.
Yeah, Darian Gannis is a 15-year-old, the last heir of a fallen house. Many years ago, his family were nobility that sired a line of kings, but his house has long since fallen into obscurity, and today they live as simple villagers. But there are those amongst my family who believe that I may be the one to lead us back to our former glory.
Nice. And we'll find out more about Darian in a few moments as you kind of walk us through your playbook as we build out the village. But first, I'd like to introduce Ryan, who'll be playing Afra.
So Afra is the devout acolyte, and when she was a child, something miraculous happened to her. And after this event, she felt the call of the old gods, and now she worships them openly. She follows one of these ancient deities, and now does that deity's work amongst the people of the village.
Nice. Thank you. Moraine, played by Bethany.
Moraine is the would-be knight, and she is, let's see, her father was an outcast, so she has spent her life making herself as obnoxiously helpful as possible in order to make up for that.
Nice. Driven to nobility by family reputation. Yeah.
Gotta make up for the bad reputation, and so she will protect you whether you want it or not.
Awesome. Let's go to Constant Sorrow, played by Brian.
Constant Sorrow is a 16-year-old Fey foundling. He was found by a wonderful family of fisher folk there down among the reeds, and they took him in despite the small horn nodules he already had as an infant, and he has grown up with them and tried his best to be part of the town, help out when he can. There were a couple times when strange things would happen. I'd get blamed for it, but luckily, Darian spoke up for me, and I've been able to stay here living in the place that I love.
Nice. And last but not least, Lilani, played by Larry.
Hi, yeah, so Lilani is the untested thief. She's the daughter of, what do you call these people? Like the weavers? The people who make cloth. So she's really good at working the loom. But her real passion is stealing stuff, which she learned from the village locksmith. So maybe there's an NPC there. And I guess the other notable thing is that she is betrothed, if that's the right word, to, I guess, the son of the Miller family, but she's really not into it.
Cool. All right. So I'm going to ask a lot of questions about the village. We're going to ask about bonds, and we're going to ask about who lives in the village. We already know there's some Millers there. Get a little list started here. And we will... I can't show this in the video. It always takes me too long to share my screen. But I will definitely post this in the YouTube links. You know, there's some Millers. Who's the head of the house and who's the kid you're engaged to, Lamani?
Oh man, do I have to come up with names? Anybody want to jump in? Just go right ahead. The Millers. I guess the head of the house is going to be some kind of patriarch.
Like Barney, maybe, or
no,
Barney.
I'm X-carding Barney.
First use of the X card. Wow. All right.
That's the first time I actually had the X card invoked in a game. That's awesome.
But you know, part of the X card advice is invoke it early and often, so that there's no stigma to invoking it. So
right.
I will X card Barney Miller.
Cool.
I mean, not the wonderful television series, just using it in the village.
Right.
Okay, let's think. Jesus, I'm really bad at names. Seriously, anybody who got a name of something stern sounding? I think this guy is like he's kind of an asshole. Probably like one of the wealthier families, I imagine, like in town. So this is like why it's such a great thing for my family's perspective. I don't like the guy, but
how about Sandolph?
Sandolph, okay.
Does that sound harsh enough?
Yeah, I think so.
And having Millers in the village tells us something we already sort of knew, and I'll tell you why we knew that in a moment. But that there's a river in the village,
right?
And I'll tell you a little bit about why we knew that in a moment. And I'll put the river on the map. Tell me if you think that's where it should go. Let me make it more obviously rivery and blue, because you know rivers should not be black normally.
Yeah. That's good.
Make it a little wider just to make it a little more obvious. Is that good there?
Looks good.
Yeah, works for me.
All right. So where along the river would you, that first bin, second bin, third bin, fourth bin, would you put the mill? I mean, the nice thing about millers is you sort of have to know that you know that they have to be along a body of water to do milling, or else somebody's doing a whole lot of work.
Right.
Which could be why the son of the miller is considered by others to be a good catch. He's got those shoulders.
I'm actually having a hard time seeing the map right now, so if somebody wants to pick a bend, please go ahead and do that on my behalf.
Further downstream, further upstream, where would you like the mill? Anybody can answer.
Sorry, which one is better, like up or down?
Tanning you always want downstream. But milling, I feel like you can make a lot of different cases.
Yeah, wherever the water is strongest, right?
Yeah. Just put a little downstream unless it bumps into something else we need later. And what was the miller's son's name?
Let's just do something kind of silly. How about Tad? T-A-D?
Tad.
I feel like he's kind of wimpy, like in stark contrast to his like large, stern father.
Okay.
Like overshadowed by his dad.
Is he sort of bookish? Or just
Yeah, sure. Why not?
just soft spoken?
We can make him bookish and soft spoken.
All right. All right. Flip back and forth between windows. Moraine, what is the first sort of scroll on your character sheet? What's it attached to, and what did you find out about your character on that sort of table?
So it's on the what did your parents do in the village? What did you learn? One. I rolled my father was an outcast, rightfully or not, which doesn't necessarily tell us about like what is in the village, although it might tell us something about the culture.
Okay. Do you think he was an outcast to the village or an outcast from the village?
I think he was an outcast to the village, but like the people there knew about it and like never really trusted him.
Right. So where was the outcast from?
The next town over.
Okay. Is that what is the name of that town, and which direction do you think it's in?
I think it's across the river and upstream a bit. And what's its name? Let's go to the random near Salem Way name list here. Tarkiln.
Nice. Okay. All right. Have you been to Tarkiln, do you think?
Yeah. I went there. That's where I got my sword.
Okay. Are they legendary or at least reputable smiths in Tarkiln?
Yeah, there's a reputable smith, not legendary. But yeah, I kind of wanted it to be an adventure. It was like a special thing. I had like worked for several summers in a row, saving up money to buy this sword. So I kind of I wanted to turn it into like a thing. So I went there to get it.
Nice. Okay. All right. So we're putting Tarkiln Village upstream and slightly to the west or the east? I'm sorry.
West.
West. All right. So maybe a little further up into the mountains.
Yeah.
All right. Keith, what is the first sort of scroll on your map? Or what is the first scroll on your playbook?
I am the son of the village smith, so I think it's the smithy.
Okay.
All
right. Where in the village would you like the smithy? I'm not going to try to draw it, but nice. Thank you. Nice. Congratulations.
Yeah, look at that.
I think it's fairly close to the middle of town. Here, this is the tavern. I take it. So
that's the inn.
Yeah. So I think it's there.
Nice. Okay. I'm going to label that real quick, so I remember what that is. Do a crazy and associate that. There we go. All right. Here we go. We got a smithy near the inn, not far from the river. And Keith, I'll go ahead and stick with you. What's the next sort of scroll item on your map?
I believe it's a person because I was taught.
Or skip the people for right now, but just tell me like where those little scrolls show up.
Oh, the next one is, how did my family teach me to right the wrongs of the past? Which is, they taught me to take my time in reclaiming what is mine. So I think that is, I think there's an amphitheater where
and what they taught you.
They taught me to take my time in reclaiming what is mine.
Okay.
But I think there's an amphitheater in town where the people of the village would come to hear one another, and they have disputes.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I think my parents taught me to carefully see all sides of these arguments and listen and not rush to judgment. And I think that amphitheater where people would come to, air their grievances and argue their cases and for the people of the village to come to a decision is where I learned that lesson.
Nice. Okay. Where do you think that is in town, roughly?
It's I have to think it would be fairly central to to sort of the social life of the town. So I think it's certainly not remote.
Right.
Middle of town somewhere.
So not far from the inn.
Yeah, I think the inn is is right there on the border, on the edge of the amphitheater. And a lot of other businesses maybe are like surrounded.
Nice. Okay, one sec. All right. Sorrow, what are the first couple of scrolls, not hands, on your playbook?
This is me.
Yep.
The first scroll is what my childhood was like.
Okay.
And you've already included the river.
Okay.
Where I was found.
Oh, right. Okay. Nice. All right. What about the next one?
The next one will be a person symbol.
Skip over that and go into the next scroll.
Next location.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. This was. Let me find out the. That's 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Oh, it's that's interesting. You wouldn't think that would be a location. It has to do with what kind of fey magic I wield.
Okay.
And the fact that I like to befuddle mortals with glamour and beauty.
So what sort of? So to ask about, so you're a befuddler. Where do you think that first became obvious?
Let's see. Oh, I think somewhere between the inn and the smithy, there's a little area where the elders like to play chess, which is what they taught me.
Okay.
And there were a few times that I enjoyed creating illusions to befuddle the elders while I was playing them. Yeah, nice.
All right. Ephra.
So, like Sorrow,
Yeah.
Afra's kind of first map point has to do with the river as well. Afra's parents were fishermen, and she grew up by the river.
Yeah, cool.
Okay. What about that second one that looks like a scroll?
So the second one is under a table that's entitled "What is the God's Task for You?"
That's task for you.
The God's task for Afra is to cleanse the lands of the forces of darkness, which is why she's blessed with the magics that she's blessed with.
Where was it that you first realized that, do you think?
So
It could be a place where you realized how widespread and oppressive the darkness was, or it could be a place where you could look at everything, or it could be something else. So just
yeah, so I mean, I'd rolled earlier that she first began to hear the gods in an abandoned sanctuary deep in the woods. So maybe that's the same place that she first realized that the land needed to be cleansed.
Is the woods up on the mountain, or is it more to the north, more to the south?
Let's say that it's kind of southeast of the village. Maybe kind of far from the river, far from her parents' house.
Okay. I will not try to draw trees with the pins that I have with Google Hangouts, but and that's an abandoned sanctuary in the woods, right?
It is.
Did you recognize any of the iconography there, or was it just a place you went?
I think she was just wandering there. I don't think she recognized anything. Not that deep in the woods.
Okay.
I do have some idea why she was out there, but not for why she was that deep.
Nice. All right. Leilani, what are your first two items that look like a scroll? Which tables do they come up on?
Let's see. We've got. What did my parents do in the village? What did I learn from them?
Okay.
And for that, I got you worked the loom, cutting and twisting as the fates. Don't really know what that last part means, but anyway, so I guess location would just be. I feel like we do this like it's like an in-house operation. Like we just do it inside of our little like one room. Almost like a cottage. Yeah, like a pretty crappy cottage though. Like we're poor. Which I feel like is probably going to be like more like on the outskirts of town. Does that sound okay?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna move that over to just west of town, near the woods. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, that actually made that work because maybe the woods are kind of dark and foreboding, and that's like kind of like you don't want to be too close to that if you can
Right.
avoid it.
All right. And what's another one that comes up for you as a location?
The other one is the chart for how do you attain your ill-gotten gains. Although what I got for that is, I guess it's a little plain. It's just despite your other skills, you still work an honest profession. So for that, I just like I'm in addition to like weaving the cloth, I'm also like a seamstress. So I can,
Okay.
whatever, do tailor-made stuff. Well, what I thought was kind of what I decided like I have garments that I like sewed like hidden pockets into.
Oh, nice.
Just to go along with like the thieving aspect of it.
Nice.
So then I don't think there's any new location really though. I think that's still just like the hut or the
cottage.
little...
That works for me. And I forgot to ask you for a second one, Moraine. What is your second one?
Yeah, my second one is what is your preferred fighting style? Which I think there's a building somewhere in town with murals all over it, of like battles, and I specialized in longsword, even though like it doesn't really, like, I'm strong and I'm not particularly dexterous, but because like the longsword is just like the iconic knight weapon, and so there's a mural somewhere in town of like knights fighting with swords.
Where do you think that would be?
Is there some kind of like courthouse or city hall or like mayor's house or something like that, like some public building?
What about an old manor?
That would work, yeah.
You guys still have technically somebody who's supposed to live there, but no one has actually come to occupy it.
Cool. Yeah, perfect.
In generations, since you guys are kind of far from the center.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be near the amphitheater? Theoretically, then, whoever was supposed to be the Lord could just come out and address.
I kind of like the idea that it's on the side of the mountain, like overlooking the town.
Oh, nice. Okay. What is the name of the noble family who is supposed to have this as one of their residences?
Aldebrand.
Nice. Thank you. Oh wait, put it in the wrong spot. So I think the next thing for all of you is two people or families or groups of people who are in the town. And I'm going to start this one with Ryan. Ryan, you've got two hands. Could you tell me a little bit about what the table you rolled on, what you learned from that table? And then we can figure out sort of what that means for who might be in the village.
So the first hand is on the table that's entitled "The other player characters were your best friends. Who else in the village befriended you while you were growing up?" And there is an old widow who needed help around her house who befriended Afra.
Okay. What's her name? First or last, or however you want to know her.
Um, Elda. ELDA.
Nice. What about the second person?
So the second person is actually the goddess who is particularly fond of me. And she is the goddess of healing, suffering, and light.
Do you have a quick name for a goddess of healing, suffering, and light?
How about Aurora?
Nice. Okay. Is she one of the gods recognized in the local temple?
I don't think so. I think she's one of the old gods. Maybe the one that was out that Aphra found in the abandoned sanctuary.
Nice. Okay. Is there much of a temple in town, or is everybody sort of just worship at home? Do things to appease the gods at home?
I think we probably have maybe a kind of patron god of our village. That's kind of just perfunctory.
Okay.
And then everybody kind of has small household gods that they pray to.
Nice. Okay. Where would be the place where people associate with the patronage? Is there like a pole or a shrine or?
Yeah, I think there's probably a shrine in town. Let's see where. I mean, maybe it's near the amphitheater. People go to the amphitheater because they actually feel some sort of civic duty, and so the shrine is kind of in that area.
Naturally, it sort of fits in that zone.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a full-time priest there, or is that just a thing that the village elders keep up on their own?
I think it's just something, yeah, that the elders would keep up, kind of open to the public. Again, no, there's probably not official services or anything like that.
Right, right. It's a good place to engage in religious posturing, though, if you need to engage in religious posturing.
Yes, especially outside the amphitheater.
Doomed. We're all doomed. Yeah.
All right. Little box around that. There we go. And then let's move back over to Moraine. Two people that based on those two things that have hands next to them.
Yeah, one of them actually rolled the same thing as Aphra. I guess we both have worked for the widow.
Okay.
I think she probably lives near the forest. And let's see, how can I turn that into another person if we need another?
You don't have to turn it into another person.
Okay. Other one is, now that you are ready, how will you seek your fortune? And I will banish an ancient evil of which I have heard stories. So I guess the obvious person in the village would be the person who tells these stories.
Actually,
or the ancient evil.
Yeah. I can name the ancient evil, but I already know all that. Tell me who told you this. Who tells you the stories?
Let's see who's on the stories. Let me find a name here. Her name is Hilda. And I think she's like another teenager. She's a little bit older. Maybe she might be like 20. And she's kind of like an aspiring she's like an aspiring witch or some other magic. I didn't actually look at all the various types of magical people, but so she's studied just like various magical legends from the area, and she's always happy to pass on this information.
So the ancient evil that you've heard about, as old as the goddess Aurora, is a god named Thanatos. And Hilda will tell you, you may sometimes need to appease Thanatos, but you should never serve Thanatos. Thanatos was a god of death.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, like there's all sorts of like happy little, take your soul away when you die type gods of death, and guardian gods of death, and justice oriented gods of death, and protection oriented gods of death. But this god of death was a god of tyranny over the souls of the dead. Sorrow, a couple of people on your list.
Okay. Yeah, so I mentioned before the village elders that taught me the ancient game of chess. I think that might be maybe Elder Magnus.
Nice. Okay.
Was willing to look past my horned appearance and teach me the various stratagems. Yeah.
Despite the fact that he's lost time while doing it. Literally.
Yes.
Literally just.
Why am I so hungry? Well, you've been here for 24 hours.
What's another place where you see the hand on your list?
Let's see. The other place is all the way at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Which has to do with when I was found.
Okay.
So it does say that I have a loving foster family.
Okay.
So they might be active in my life. We're tight. It's like very supportive of each other. Sometimes you guys will hear us singing our fish hunting related songs early in the morning and say, the sorrows are out doing their fishing.
Nice. All right. Darian, two people who show up on yours where you see hands.
I also have the ancient, or the village elders, rather, who also taught me chess. I suspect Constant Sorrow and I have faced one another across the chess lawn a time or two. But the elder that taught me was Timothea, and she. And I'm sorry, Brian. What was your elder's name?
Magnus.
Magnus and Timothea were husband and wife and bitter chess rivals, and they played out their rivalry vicariously through their two pupils.
That's excellent.
Anything else on yours?
Yeah, the other one is what heirloom of my house do I still bear? And it's the sword of my house, which is a beautiful blade. And I think that my father kept it for many, many years, and only very recently, in the last few months, has turned it over to me. But first, it had to be refurbished, and he's a very practical smith. He shoes horses and makes hinges and locks and things like that. Makes nails and pulls wire. He's not a weapon smith, and so he got some help from someone from Tarkiln, the same smith that Moraine bought her sword from. And so that person, he and my father became friends, and he's taken to visiting Wolf Summit pretty regularly. So he doesn't actually live here, but he's frequently is here.
Okay.
Cool.
And I don't remember if Moraine named that person or not, but I don't think she did.
No, I didn't.
I think his name is Teague. Teague.
I know there are invaders from the north sometimes, so he probably provides the weapons for both villages.
Right. And finally, Leilani, who are the two people who show up on your sheet? I know one of them would be the Millers, correct?
Yep, we already got the Millers.
And who's the second?
Second is... The question was, what was your greatest heist? And I managed to nab a great bag of coins from a rich merchant. So rich merchant is the NPC. Let's call him Gratis.
Nice. Okay.
Grotis, I guess. And I imagine that Gratis is like a real dirtbag. One of the wealthiest people. I think him and Sandolph, the father Miller guy.
You mean your future father-in-law?
My future father-in-law. I think they're pretty tight. And even though this was my greatest heist, I feel like Gratis probably he somewhat suspects me, right? He thinks I may be behind the theft. And he's got his eye on me, and yeah.
Nice. All right. Switch that out. All right, Keith. Thank you for everything you're doing. And I'm gonna pull this list over so we can all see it.
That's great.
Dotted line around it, and then put that over that way. Okay. That's not good.
Who was the widow Elda again?
The widow Elda is a local widow who both Alpha and is it Alpha and Moraine? Aphra and Moraine, sorry, who have done work for her to assist her. Is that correct? Did I get that wrong?
Alpha has.
It's Alpha for sure, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Moraine also has.
All right. And you said something about Raiders from the North there, Moraine. What do you know about the Raiders from the North?
Let's see. It's one of is. Find it. Oh, it's how I practiced my skill at arms. I always volunteer to go with the forces so yeah, sometimes it's Raiders from the North, sometimes reach the village. I don't know what they want. I'm not sure anyone really knows what they want, but yeah, sometimes just like big horde of strangers will come and try to take over.
I'm gonna post that horde of or some details of that horde of strangers into the die roller. Cool. Use that image feature Shane built in. I can find it. Add image. There we go. Or maybe it didn't work. Try it one more time, and then I'll. It does not like that image that I am giving it. So I'm just going to post it into the Hangouts link so that people can see it. Weird.
Can I ask? Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to ask, where does the NPC list live?
It's on the map.
Oh, it's on the map.
Yeah. I went ahead and put it on the map so that we'd have fewer things sort of shuffled around.
Gotcha.
See if I can. There we go.
Got it. Thanks.
Oh, no wonder. Okay. Give me 1 second. I figured out why that was not working. All right. All right, I've added a list of those, or an image of those raiders from the north to the roll for your party room.
Oh.
They have a certain weird dog-like, or wolf-like, or jackal-like quality to them.
Ooh.
Oh,
and even at night, people who are scouting for you mention seeing these creatures in the woods. and they are clearly intelligent, though maybe not as intelligent as you might hope, since you can't really seem to reason with them or talk to them. You definitely do see creatures among them who seem smarter than the rest. But they've raided consistently over the past year whenever the season for war or the season for raids was open, and they don't seem to take anything. They seem to be looking for something, but they're never in big numbers. It's like they're traveling too far a distance or have too few people to send big numbers. But you do see scouts on the edge who never try to parley, they never try to negotiate, they never offer terms, they never indicate what they want, but they always seem to be looking for something every time they raid. And so far, you've been able to fight them back. But recently, there have been reports of lots of those raiders from the north scouting, or more of the scouts in the woods. And these are taller, larger than the ones you've seen before, and seem more cunning when they're spotted. They're quicker to disappear. They're not as violent when they hunt for food near the town. They seem more clever about where to start fires and where to put out fires. And let's start with the person most closely associated with fending off the raiders from the north. Moraine, what is it you love about spending your evenings at the inn? What is it about going to the inn that you most like, you most enjoy?
I like hanging out with Hilda.
Okay. Oh, and I forgot to do bonds. I think that's the last thing we need to really quickly do. Is we'll start with Moraine. And what is your bond with Sorrow, Constant Sorrow?
Let me see. I had one, and then I think I changed it.
Or it's just the one that came up on that bonds table, the one where you looked at the person to the right.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. So my question was, when did you first draw blood? The player to your right was there with you. And I got 4, which is when some ruffians attacked your beloved, you fought like a king of old with great presence. The friend to your right fought off the gang with you and gains +1 charisma.
Oh wait, we have a beloved for you as well, which will.
Yeah, I think that is Hilda. That makes sense.
Oh, that's cool. That's really awesome. Does Hilda know she's your beloved?
No.
Okay. And how much younger are you than Hilda?
I think I'm like 15 or 16, and
okay.
She's so like 4 years.
And Constant, sorry, you were there, and what was the situation again, Moraine?
Constant Sorrow helped me fight off a gang. And apparently we did it in a very, very impressive way because the +1 is charisma. So
oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it was charisma?
Yeah. We impressed apparently a lot of people doing this. So.
Nice. Okay. Any detail you'd like to add to that, Constant Sorrow?
Yeah, it was the first time that we were able to maybe really use one of my more creative illusions. So it was sort of flashy and big, and it looked like we had a lot more people with us than we actually did. And then when Moraine stepped forward and started hacking and slashing, it made a huge impression on them.
Nice. All right. And who was that gang? Was it the Raiders, or was it somebody specific in town?
I don't think it was the Raiders. I think that was it was a group of it was a group of adventurers going north to they're trying to track down the Raiders, and yeah, they just decided to stop and harass people on their way.
Was there a name for that group of adventurers? Did they have a group name or? I find when you can't think of one, the Crows always works, but I didn't want to fall back on anything so obvious.
No, Crows is fine.
All right. Stealing blatantly from Deep Carbon Observatory right there. All right.
Works too.
What works?
Untouchable Trio, if you want to steal from
nice.
nice obscure gaming source.
I'm going to blend those together. The Untouchable Crows.
Oh, nice. There you go.
Nice.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah, not so untouchable, are they? No.
Yeah.
No. Not when they think they have a whole bunch more people fighting them than there are.
Right. All right. Constant Sarah, what is your bond with Darian?
My bond with Darian. Last winter, a baby went missing, and as always happens, whenever somebody goes missing in town or something strange happens, the suspicious villagers started whispering that I had taken it into my fairy family.
Oh, wow.
And he stepped up and reminded them that I had been good to everybody there and fair and kind, and they should stop talking smack about me. And so he gained a +1 wisdom for that.
Oh, nice. Okay. Whose baby was it who went missing?
Oh, whose baby was it? Let's see.
Be somebody we've already mentioned. It could be.
I think it belonged to a girl actually a year younger than me, Gila. Let's see, what is her family? I think her family are farmers.
Did they ever find the baby?
They did not.
Okay. All right. Darian, what's your bond with Lilani?
So maybe just fairly recently, I think just a few months ago, a powerful and wicked sorcerer came into the village looking for the blood of a king for unknown reasons. And Lilani convinced me that he would be a danger to me and my family unless we properly dealt with him, and convinced me to sort of reveal my heritage. But at the same time, she also helped me run this guy out of town. So we certainly didn't kill him or murder him or anything, but we roughed him up a little bit. And so she got +1 strength.
Nice.
From that.
Okay. Do you remember the wizard's name, or did you ever know it?
I do happen to have it right in front of me. His name was Mehmet Prodromu. I'd be glad to paste that right onto the map if you'd like.
Honey, can you close the door all the way? Oh, sorry.
That's right. I just put it on.
That's good.
These are not necessarily people who are really in the village, but I'll clarify that in note taking later. And Lilani, what is your bond with Afra? Or what's the question you answered where Afra was the person to the right?
Yeah. See, as happens with many thieves, your first job went bad. What did you do when you got caught? And what I did was I hid until it was safe. So Afra got caught up in my heist and had to hide out too, for which Afra got +1 dex. I'm because I'm trying to figure out like why was Afra
Caught up in your heist.
yeah,
Afra,
how'd that happen, like
how did you get caught up in this heist? What was you trying to steal?
I'm not sure.
Afra's involvement suggests something.
Yeah. I'm not sure if she was actually in on the heist itself. She's kind of known around the village for being an empathetic person. So I think maybe Leilani stole this object, panicked and came to Afra for help in some way, maybe just to hide out. And that's how she got kind of pulled into this.
Your involvement suggests that this might have something to do with the old gods versus the new gods. Does that sound fair?
Sure.
Afra?
Yeah.
Does that sound like that possibly you stole something dealing with somebody's household gods?
like I made off with some kind of like religious relic kind of thing, or
like something minor, something dealing with a household deity.
Okay.
I've forgotten the name for the really weird sounding name for objects that specifically, you stored in your household that had something to do with your household deities.
Yeah.
The other kind of nerd I am. But maybe this is gratis as well, Lilani?
That works. So I've hit him a bunch of times. He's like my favorite target.
No wonder he suspects you.
You hit him once. You pickpocketed him once and it worked, and then all of a sudden you're just like, let's break into his house. Does that sound about fair?
Yeah, I kind of like that actually. Yeah,
Okay.
He's like my my go-to.
If you can get into his pockets, you can get into his. Oh wait, the house is harder.
The house was a little bit harder. Yeah.
All right.
So then the end is like, so I hung out at Afra's after the heist, and that's sort of how I got Afra
right
wrapped up in it.
But apparently other people really had some notion of where you were. Possibly Afra, did you have to like sneak out of town and take Lilani to the shrine?
Yeah, that sounds. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm guessing that maybe nobody but Afra knew about the shrine until she took Leilani out there to hide her out.
Right.
And so now both Leilani and Afra know about it.
What did you, Afra, what did you do to the household idol before you made Lilani give it back? For instance,
I had to give it back? This is some bull crap. Sorry, continue.
That's okay. You might have added an emblem to it or adapted it in some way, or
I think
quietly, slowly deface something about it. Subtle.
I think
inscribed Aurora's holy symbol on the bottom.
Yeah, maybe not inscribed, but drew on the bottom in some sort of kind of paint or paste or something, kind of drew the symbol on the bottom of the household object. So when it kind of sits on the mantle or wherever it sits, you can't really see it. So you wouldn't know unless you picked it up and actually examined it.
And if it's paste, you'd have to look at it pretty closely.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it doesn't really have much of a color. Nice, okay. Okay. Let's see. I think that answers the bond questions. Lilani, I'd like you to roll and test your intelligence. If you have, I don't think you have any farming or animal skills. It doesn't look like.
No, I do not.
All right, but roll and test your intelligence.
Okay, so that's a D20, right?
Right.
Okay. Let's see if this works. Did I just roll a 1?
If you rolled a 1, you did exceptionally well.
Oh, I did? Oh, okay, sweet.
Hello.
Oh, that's right, yes.
Nice. So I don't think you guys, living up in a mountain, I don't think you have a livestock-based economy. There are definitely some mountain cattle, but not ones that you could run an entire kind of village economy on. But there are some people who are very proud of their milk cows that they primarily only sell locally or make stuff for their families, but who are proud of their milk cows. And several of those cows have been found dead. And mutilated. Leilani, everybody seems sort of baffled. By the wounds when they look at them. You recognize the cut as being made by a sickle, or the cuts as being made by a sickle, but they seem to have some sort of serrated edge on the sickle. Have you told anyone have you told your friends, and have you told anyone besides your friends about what you've realized yet? This is only like in the last few days. I think that you've had a chance to look at the mutilated cows.
Right.
And once they're mutilated, they don't. You can't really turn these into meat. They sort of fester and rot pretty quickly once they've been killed.
Are they festering and rotting like unusually quickly, or
yeah,
normal rate?
Not like freakishly supernatural, but just like a far beyond normal rate.
Okay. So I think I confide in Afra, my revelation. If for no other reason that I really don't have that many friends, and we kind of bonded over that whole heist thing. So,
Nice. Moraine. A stranger came to the inn 2 nights ago, and I started to ask you why you enjoyed spending time in the inn, and you said something about Hilda?
Yeah, I think she works there.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And being Moraine, do you sometimes end up as the informal bouncer?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, not necessarily the aggressive bouncer necessarily, but the calm down asshole bouncer, or the no, it's time for you to go home bouncer.
Yeah, yeah. There's a few people who are like perfectly okay most of the time, but they're mean drunks. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just keep an eye on them and ready to like.
I mean, and most mean drunks, it is amazing what staring at a mean drunk will turn them into. One of my favorite bouncers in Brooklyn actually can just, she's not very big, but she can stare anybody down. So, I think Moraine seems like the kind of person who's smart enough to know that sometimes you just look at somebody and all of a sudden they're like, all right.
Yeah, that big fight with Sorrow kind of helped
Your
with
rep.
this too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moraine, he clearly spoke your language, but he was not interested in speaking the local language. He clearly understood things you were saying to him, but ignored Hilda when she tried to take his drink order. And he kept walking up to people and trying to say things to them in a language no one understood. And then at some reason he decided you were the person he needed to talk to. And he started yelling at you in this language, the same phrase over and over and over again. And then he lunged at you. Make a strength check.
And
You're just trying to equal or under.
equal or under.
Yeah.
17, which is my strength score. So
Right, exactly. Nice. You wrestled him down, and he's now in the stocks. But he was strong, and you'd swear stronger than he looked. Like he's kind of a scrawny guy, a little like Tad, who was not at the end. But you'd swear that when you sort of wrestled him down, his eyes glowed. And finally, you got him sort of down, and the elders came and sort of put him in sort of a salt cellar, sort of chain up situation. And this is 2 nights ago. Darian, a little longer ago, up above Tarkiln, there's a dam in the river that kind of creates a lake. And you're not sure, no one is sure what did it, but the dam broke. And the water that surged down out of the dam was red, almost like blood. And about the time the dam broke, a storm started. And it just surged. Lots of people were caught in this along the river. And I'd like you to test your constitution.
Oh, that is not a success. Rolled a 17 and my con is only 14.
So a lot of people went missing. You were nearly drowned yourself trying to wade in possibly and save people. Maybe you were just caught. But you seem like a wade in and try to save people kind of person. Gila is still missing and has been missing for a week. Most of the others you found either barely alive or just past death, but Gila specifically is still missing.
Oh. Okay. Despite her racism, I hope nothing terrible has happened to her.
Right?
I think
Go
I would
ahead. Sorry.
be missing for a week, you said?
It's been about a week.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Did she have any other family? Or was it just her and the missing child?
It was just her and the missing child.
I think I'll try to convince Constant Sorrow that we should try to find her.
All right. Sorrow.
Yes.
Or actually, I'm gonna let's talk to Afra first.
All right.
Afra, I'd like you to check your wisdom. You just want to roll a d20 and roll equal to or under your wisdom score.
Rolled an 8. So under.
Nice. For about the same time as the dam broke, shortly after it washed away all the, and this is, roughly late springtime, or maybe early summer, all the crops, all the crops, and even all the house plants and all the things you grew just for decoration, things that don't flower, started growing these weird sickly green flowers. That no one had ever seen before. And then a few days later, they started to fall off and wilt away. And the leaves underneath of them started to wilt. You realize the flowers were somehow almost parasitic. And were able to pull them off the plants, and you saved a lot of plants by pulling them off. The plants started to recover. You also had a dream about pasting the flowers, and when you treated them with the red river water that sort of came out, it is now washed away. The river is running the same regular color, but it's certainly running harder since it's no longer dammed. But adding some of the red river water and some other things you knew to do, you were able to get 3 healing salves from these yellowish green sickly plants. You have 3 of them left. And they each heal a d6 of hit points. So you have 3 of those.
Cool.
Excellent.
Sorrow. Last night, the moon turned red. Now, the moon has turned red a few times, according to the elders, but it passes. It is not passed. In fact, even the moon that has risen today in the daytime still seems to have a reddish gleam to it. But while everyone was distracted by the red moon, you saw a star rise to the north that no one had ever seen before. And I'd like you to check your intelligence.
Okay. Let's see here. My intelligence is 15. Uh, 5.
Nice. Congratulations. Yeah. Um, you saw a dark, shadowy spirit. Lingering behind the widow Elda.
Mm.
But you spoke its name and drove it away, and its name was Thanatos.
Oh. A lot of bad stuff happening.
That was last night. Let's see if there's anything else.
Would it be worth trying to make a fairy lore roll to see if I can put any of this together?
I counted the fairy lore towards that.
Okay.
But I think putting this together would be possibly a reason that you're all in the inn.
Mm.
I mean, Moraine always has a good reason to come to the inn, I think.
I find a good reason. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'll make an excuse.
Always leaving stuff there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where in the inn are you guys sitting, do you think? Sort of tell me about where you're sitting in the inn. Is this a place you normally sit? Are you normally all there together?
Yeah, it's our usual table. We sit together.
Nice. Okay. Where is it?
What season is it?
It's early summer, late spring. Much as it is right now.
Maybe near a window?
Yeah, I think so. It's near a window, and it's kind of it's not like near the center because we're a bunch of teenagers and we're kind of loud and obnoxious.
That's right.
Right. And what have you all been doing all day? I'll start with Afra. Why are you warm and sweaty and enjoying the open window with the night air? Or why have you been warm and sweaty and now enjoying the open window with the night air?
I think that especially with the kind of summer coming on, the days getting longer, Afra's been attempting to worship Aurora in her own way. So she spends a lot of time out in the sun, perhaps going off. Well, we'll just leave it at that. Out in the sun as much as she can, praying in her own way to Afra, as long as the sun's out.
Did you
by
make
the window.
it to the temple today?
Yeah, I think yes, because she probably tries to go as often as she can. And maybe even though the temple's kind of deep in the woods, maybe it's actually in a clearing so that the sun can shine on the temple.
Nice.
So she's probably just gotten back from that just before nightfall, which is why she's kind of sweaty and looking to cool off.
Darian, it has been a hot day. What is it you've been doing and working on?
I've actually gone several miles down the river again for probably the third day in a row, looking for any sign or any clue as to what has become of Gila. But I've had to return. I've returned just at sunset once again, unsuccessfully. Not so much as a scrap. of clothing or anything else. It's like something carried her off. I mean, other than the river.
Maybe she left to search for her baby.
But I mean, I saw her in the water, right? I was trying to help pull people out of the water. Maybe she did. Maybe she found the baby and fled the village. That would be good.
That'd be good. Yeah.
That would be better than the likely explanation.
Sarah, did you loudly banish that shadowy spirit last night, or were you very quiet about it?
No, I was loud.
Loud, okay. Test your wisdom real quick.
Wisdom, okay. Not my best, but looking for 11 or less. Huh. I got 11 on the dot. Does that work?
Yep.
Yeah, you got 11 on the dot. That's awesome. You noticed that the widow Hilda at first seemed confused and then slightly flustered at your action, and she left quickly after you banished the spirit, before you could really explain much. Moraine, what have you been up to today?
I was weeding the widow Hilda's garden.
Okay. And you know this, that she did not come out. She sort of yelled she sort of like called, not like yelled like ugly, but like, sort of distractedly sort of gave you instructions from upstairs, the upstairs window, without really looking out. Yeah,
that's strange. Normally she's like always encouraging, people, come in, get a glass of water, and
right.
very
Yeah,
friendly.
she left it downstairs sort of open for you. But she did not come down and confer with you. Make a wisdom check yourself.
14, which I'm pretty sure is higher than my wisdom, but let me check. Oh yeah, that's way higher than my wisdom.
You know, she had somebody upstairs that she was talking to, but you did not see them come and go while you were weeding. They were gone by the time you left, but they you must have been sort of immersed in the weeding enough that you didn't really see who it was.
Did I hear them talking?
Not really. Apparently they were sort of like, it's sort of like that thing where, like, when somebody is upstairs, the person facing the stairs is the person you hear.
Mm-hmm.
So they must have been sort of facing her.
Right, okay.
And you heard her talking, and clearly to somebody, but you couldn't really get a sense of the voice of the other person.
Okay.
Lilani, what have you been doing all day? It is a warm, warm day. Why are you sort of overheated?
I think I've been working on my my wedding dress, and I've been hanging out with Tad. But I realized originally I thought I just didn't like Tad, but now I think I think we're actually friends, and I think. But I still don't want to get married to him, and he doesn't really want to get married to me. I think Tad is gay, and and we just kind of like have this arrangement, like I'm gonna like marry him to like appease his father. Anyway, so yeah, I've just been working on my wedding dress like all day, and
Would you make a wisdom check?
yeah, sure. Crap, which one was it? I think it was the 13. So I got a 13, and I'm almost certain that is a failure. It sure was.
You notice that Tad seemed distracted.
Like more than just by like the impending wedding and whether we're sort of doing the right thing.
Possibly more than that. Like more than he
Possibly.
usually get, more than he usually is.
Okay. He is pretty distractible.
He is pretty distractible.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to talk about any of the normal things you guys talk about. Even the ones that
Didn't want to
bore you.
Didn't want to talk about the books that he's reading.
Yeah, he didn't want to talk about the books.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, something is really wrong.
Specifically, he did not want to talk about guys.
And he didn't want to talk about guys. Okay, something is really wrong. Okay.
All right. Each of you, what are each of you bringing up sort of as you get together? What are you what is most sort of coming to your mind as you've settled into the inn? And there's rumors afoot that the old people, like I think Moraine, you're probably here fastest after getting through with work.
Mm-hmm.
And the older people have been whispering about those dog people being seen in the woods.
Yeah. So I definitely bring that up, and in a way that like trying to sound sort of adult, like this is because I know this is a bad thing, but also I'm kind of like, hey, maybe I get a chance to actually fight this time.
Nice. So you're bringing that up. Is there anything else you're bringing up as you sort of like sit down with your friends?
Yeah, where is the man who was speaking a language nobody else spoke?
It's sort of contained in the one of the cellars, probably the cellar of those two elders who are married.
Oh, okay, cool. But yeah, he's still there though. Okay.
It was a couple of nights ago, and they're not really sure what to do with him. You guys don't really have like a complex criminal justice system.
Right. And nobody speaks his language, so they can't even he can't even tell them.
He understands your language, but he's unwilling to speak it.
Huh. Okay.
He's unwilling to engage with it.
Did you tell us about his eyes lighting up when you were wrestling him down?
It was just like a moment. It was just like a flash of a moment.
No, I don't think I did. Because I'm pretty sure I just imagined it. Low wisdom.
And my other question is, the widow Hilda, is she an older widow? Is she in her mid-20s? Like I was picturing her older, but then I realized I don't really know.
What is Constant Sorrow's notion of older?
Has she reached the incredible age of, say, 30? Is she,
Can you imagine being that old? Oh,
So close to death. What do you think? Those of you who made her up. Is she a younger widow or an older widow? I mean, I'm guessing probably 30.
Yeah, I think she's not old. But she's like, she's not kind of like of our cohort. So she's like, yeah, 30 is good. 30's.
Yeah, I was imagining older, but now that we talk about it, it does make more sense that she would be, not spinster widow,
Right.
but
She needs a lot of help around the house. So maybe she's
houses are pretty
some
big.
way.
I mean, houses are pretty big.
It's true.
And she may be lacking the notion that she needs to do it all herself.
Maybe she has more money than time.
She has enough money to pay you.
Right.
Did you ever know her husband, or did she move to town after her husband was dead?
it'd be kind of interesting if we never met her husband.
Nice.
So it's kind of just a open mystery, who he was, what happened.
We don't even know for sure she had a husband. She's just called the widow. People.
Good, yeah.
Right, she said she did. So yeah, why would we doubt her? I mean, yeah. Why would someone lie about that?
What have you shared with your friends about what's been going on recently? Or what is most on your mind right now that you would talk about?
Did you say Lilani?
Yeah.
Okay. I think the wedding is definitely on my mind, but I think I'm probably, almost to distract myself from that, I think I'm going to talk about the dead cows. I feel like this is
right.
Pretty weird, guys.
Yeah.
And like describe it in like, I think I describe it in really gory detail and kind of like enjoy like the your reaction like
Right. Yeah. Use some of the food on your plate to like sort of it looked kind of like this, and it was sort of
just like this bloody steak. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Like
oh, Lonnie.
And the rest of us like stop eating.
Yeah.
Afro, what's been most in your mind about what's been going on?
So how long ago did I make this salve from these parasitic flowers?
Just a few days, just a day or two ago.
So would I have seen these guys in the meantime?
Probably. I mean, during that time, you've probably seen a few of them.
Okay.
I think they know you pulled them off. They may not know you've made the salve.
If I haven't shown them the salve yet, I'm probably fairly proud of having made the salve, talking about how it's a gift from Aurora. I think Afra probably talks a lot about her newfound faith. And this making this salve is just one more example of the power of Aurora.
It certainly did come to you in a dream that you should try it.
Even more evidence.
Have you tried it?
Have I tried the salve?
I think that you've got.
Have you like used it on anything to?
I wouldn't dare waste Aurora's gift if it wasn't necessary.
Right.
Does that make sense?
And Sarah, have we talked about what you were up to today yet?
No, I had a full day though. I woke up early and enlisted the family sorrow in the quest to find Gila. Working with Darian along the river. So they weren't able to fish much because we were busy trying to cover territory. But it was important to me, so it was important to the family sorrow. And then after that, I'm still disturbed by what I saw last night. So I got up on the highest point. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say the moon did not stay in the sky long tonight. The moon rose during the day, so you're not really seeing the bright blood redness of it as much. It's set pretty early, but the star is still there. What do you? Yeah. So what you got up on the highest point?
Which I think is probably the inn in terms of town, and just spent some time.
The highest point someone will let you climb on.
Yes, exactly. Spent some time kind of looking around the inn and between the buildings, especially where I saw the Widow Elda last night. And I'll try to use my what is it called?
Do you have the second sight cantrip? No, you don't. Sorry.
No, but I do have sense magic.
Yeah.
So if I concentrate on something for a few minutes, I can divine whether it's magic in nature.
Right.
So I'm just kind of trying to find evidence or traces of something that shouldn't be there in our village.
Make a wisdom check.
Oh, why wisdom? All right, so be it. No, not this time. Looks clear.
Yeah, the shadows seem longer, but that's probably just your imagination.
All right. Well, I'll definitely discuss these things, these concerns, with the rest of the crew.
And as you sit there discussing with your friends, all of you suddenly, within a few seconds of each other, start to smell smoke.
Uh-oh.
And then something throws the shutters of the window you're sitting next to closed. And then smoke starts to come from under the shutters.
Uh-oh.
And I think that's where we're going to leave off for this week.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
I'll make a backup character just in case.
And Lilani, remember to check your hit or create your hit points or roll your hit points or whatever that word is. I think everybody else, we got those hit points.
He's got them down at the bottom of the sheet.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't know what to put
I'm giving you grief about something you've already done. I'm sorry. They're just right up there under your right up under there, and I think otherwise that were paperwork good. I'd like to stop the broadcast.